Hello, it's Sam here. I play Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man, in 9 Spider-Man fan films. So, we'll swing by to your friendly neighbourhood films to celebrate the 5-year anniversary of the first Spider-Man fan film. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. So how I first got into Spider-Man? Well, I think it started back when I was a toddler, and I vaguely remembered seeing my dad playing the 2000 Spider-Man game, the one that you play on PlayStation 1, and I did remember being fascinated by it.
I can't waste any more time. I gotta get inside that bank.
Also, I do see some pictures, well, vaguely, because like I said, I think I was about 2 or 3. I was around at that age, and I vaguely remember seeing like pictures of Spider-Man, and it did interest me. And then, of course, the first Spider-Man film came out 2002, directed by Sam Raimi and starring Tobey Maguire.
He saved my life twice, and I've never even seen his face.
I didn't go in the cinema because, well, it came out in May 2002, so I was 3 years old. But when the VHS tape eventually came out, and I remember first watching it, and I absolutely loved it. And then my stepdad, Stewie, showed me Spider-Man 2 game. That's based on the second film. Back when I was 5 or 6, I think I was about 6 years old, yeah. And I remember having a lot of fun swinging around New York City and going into some places like the gym and fighting bad guys. I think that's how I got into Spider-Man. And then when I was 8 years old, Stewie showed me Marvel Ultimate Alliance video game on PlayStation 2, and he showed me the selection of superheroes, and what got me interested is because Spider-Man was there, and also the Fantastic Four, because before I got into Marvel Ultimate Alliance, I was only aware of Spider-Man and Fantastic Four. I also heard of the character, the Hulk, but I didn't even know the rest of them. I've never heard of X-Men, I've never heard of Doctor Strange, Captain America, Iron Man, the Avengers, Daredevil, etc. But then when I played the game, I got to know those characters.
Thor, take care of those gunships. Spider-Man, draw them towards the stern.
Sure thing. I just love being the target.
Wolverine, you
Do it, Boy Scout. I don't take orders from you.
So I've been a fan of Spider-Man as well as Marvel ever since. The rest, as they say, is history. They are so important to me. And because I was such a big fan of the character, I actually wanted to play Spider-Man. It's not just Doctor Who that got me into acting, it's also Spider-Man that got me into it. And back when I was in first school, I even pretend to be Spider-Man on playgrounds. Those were the days. But yeah, it was in that time where I started that I want to play Spider-Man. When I was 8 or 9, I used to watch a lot of Spidey videos on YouTube, like Lego stop motions and kids dressed up as Spider-Man. I think fan films were hardly a thing back then, and that really got me wanting to make my own Spider-Man films so much more. So moving on to teenager, where I thought about starting my YouTube channel, I thought about doing Lego Spider-Man series. I also thought about doing a Spider-Man TV series, the live action where I get to wear the suit. And originally the plan was going to be the same genre as Thunderman due to the production value, but with Sam Raimi's style, like something that Spider-Man Friend or Foe game did.
My old pals, Doc Ock and Green Goblin. Feels like a family reunion. If my family were comprised of lunatics! Chewie! Venom, my friend, you need to get yourself some breath mints.
Also creating my own villains in there, making that version of Spider-Man a bit more adventurous. But of course it didn't happen, which looking back I'm glad I didn't make that. Although doing the Lego Spider-Man series would have been awesome. So over a year or two after when I started my YouTube channel, that's where I started doing some Spider-Man videos. Because back then it was all put on a costume, grab a camera, and just play Spider-Man. I got the suits that looks a bit Raimi, but also the webbing was black instead of grey. It was an alright costume, but the problem is the spider on the back, where normally it was red, yeah, it was black on the back. So it wasn't 100% accurate to the comics. But hey, it didn't stop me from making a few Spider-Man videos. But yeah, when I look back on it, I absolutely hated it because the effects was just so dated. It was poorly written, and the suit is just not 100% accurate. And yeah, the video was just awful to look at, and it just didn't feel like proper fan films. However, I did get people say that that I was really good at playing Spider-Man, which I'm absolutely flattered. So in 2019, after when I stopped doing those rubbish Spider-Man videos with the old costume, I thought of doing a remastered version. That idea came from DW 2012. To those of you who don't know, it's a channel that runs by this guy called Luke Newman, who's known to do Doctor Who fan films. He remade first couple of seasons because he believed it was dated.
Miss me?
How are we going to survive this?
Stand together and fight.
So the idea of having remastered Spider-Man is better effects, better story, new suit, and make everything a fresh start. Plus making the film exactly the way I wanted it. So in 2020, before lockdown started, the working on Spider-Man FanFilms started. Originally it was going to be a trilogy. In terms of doing a remastered, I thought, yeah, I think trilogy's enough, and then I could just retire. But of course that wasn't the case, which I'll get to later. So after I've written the script, when I prepare for the role of Spider-Man, I go to the gym. I practice the American accent, rehearsing, shave my beard off, and gelled my hair to make it look a bit browner, just like Peter Parker's usual hair. Of course, I added the origin story because I want my version to have an origin story as well. And like I said, to make it feel like a fresh start, giving it a nice reboot. Otherwise, it's like doing a Harry Potter TV series without explaining what happened to Harry Potter's parents. And the film is based on mostly Amazing Fantasy 15, but got little bits of elements from the Ultimate Spider-Man, just like the first Raimi film did. And a lot of people know that Spider-Man typically used web shooters, apart from Tobey Maguire's version when he had organic webbing.
Whoa! That came out of you.
Yeah. You can't do that, huh?
No?
How on earth does that...
So the reason why I went the similar way as Tobey Maguire had was because I think organic webbing actually works better than having web shooters, because like Chris Stugman says, why can't Spider-Man just shoot webs? I mean, Peter Parker is a high school student, he has no job and no money, and him building web shooters, it's just not going to happen. And the reason why organic webbing was used for Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, they didn't want to stretch audiences' suspension disbelief too far. which, by the way, the idea of it came from James Cameron's unmade Spider-Man film, where I think Leonardo DiCaprio was considered for the role. So my version of Peter Parker is 16 years old. The reason why I didn't go for 15, because I don't look as young as 15, but I look as old as 16. So I think 16 was just right. I've had the blue checkered shirt for years. When I looked at it, I thought, actually this is perfect for Peter Parker's outfit. And same with the black jacket and blue jeans. Also the black Nike trainers, which Maguire wore the Nike trainers in the first Spider-Man film. And it did sort of look similar to the shoes that Peter Parker wore in Spider-Man 2 game. I also carry the backpack that I had since I was in school to make me look younger and look more like a high school student. I ordered the glasses from online. It's not the real glasses, it's actually like a fancy dress party glasses. And as for the Sony camera, which strangely Spider-Man films are made by Sony. It was a gift from my grandparents, which was back in 2015. It was either for my birthday or Christmas. Either way, it works well for my version of Peter Parker, and yeah, it was all sorted. So the filming started in 18th of April 2020. In terms of casting Uncle Ben and Aunt May, I used Nancy Linari's voice, who she voiced Aunt May in the 2017 animated series, as well as the PS4 game.
I don't know how I feel about you running this place all by yourself.
These people need help. If I lose a few hours of sleep, so be it.
As for Uncle Ben, of course I used Cliff Robertson's voice, who played Uncle Ben in the first Spider-Man film.
Hey, Michelangelo, don't forget we're painting the kitchen right after school. Got it?
Sure thing, Uncle Ben. Don't start without me.
And don't start up with me.
And that was an inspiration from Into the Spider-Verse, because they actually used Cliff Robertson's voice in that film as well.
With great power comes great responsibility.
So when I designed web fluids, I used a ball of white string. When I did my old Spider-Man videos, I noticed a lot of them seem to have disappeared for green screen. Like as though I'm, just grabbing onto thin air and flying over a city, which is not good. So then I used multiple strings, sort of like tying together, so less chance of any of them disappearing. And I tape the string up on the ceiling, and then I sit on the stool as Spider-Man, and then I just swing like that. Right, okay. And then eventually, once I put the videos on the laptop on Premiere Pro, I added the city in the background. I edited zoom in and zoom out, as well as my version of Spider-Man, to make him look like as though he's actually swinging in New York City. And I did the best I could. So the scene where Peter was sitting in the library, accidentally webbed someone's lunchbox. It was an influence from the first Spider-Man film where Tobey Maguire accidentally webbed on someone's tray and then smacked it onto Flash Thompson's back. So I recreated that scene, but in a library, and not hitting anyone's back, just sort of like struggling to get it off. So how I did that scene was, I had a fork on my wrist. I think I stuck a bit of blue tack on there, then I stuck the fork on there to make it look like as though, and then when I, doing that, and then the next shot, as I was pulling it, there's just the white strings, where I did look like I was able to shoot webs. In the next shot I use CGI web, and then after that it turns into a white string that was webbed onto a lunchbox. It was a nightmare to film because I had lunchbox on top of the fireplace and it falls off a few times. So I had to get up off the stool, put the lunchbox back on the fireplace, sit back down on the stool, and then it falls off again. So the same process happened a few times. And eventually, I got that scene done. The wall climbing was another inspiration from the first Spider-Man film where Tobey climbs on the wall, because I thought that was perfect. Just an inspiration I needed. So I laid down the green blanket on the floor and I climbed on the floor. There's one shot where I was climbing down, but then I edited in reverse to look like as though I was moving forward. And then I did the side shot, and then when I edited to make it myself look like I was actually climbing on the walls, I often thought that was so cool to look at. And I always loved the drawing scene in the first Spider-Man film, especially the soundtrack. And Jack Black reenacts that scene in the Spider-Man parody, and I thought, well, why don't I just do that as well? In one of my old Spider-Man videos, when I sort of did that scene, that's before when I realised colour has a different spelling in America, whereas in the UK it has a U in it, but in America it doesn't. So when I did the Spider-Man FanFilm, I made sure the word colour was the correct spelling, because obviously Spider-Man FanFilm was set in New York. So when I was writing a costume, I actually wrote costume possibilities, but I had to crop out possibilities because I misspelt it, and I hadn't realised it until I was editing it. So when I picked a bedroom design for Peter Parker, I picked this one because I feel it just sit right with me, it just felt right. So then when Peter wears the homemade suit, which is a black hoodie with red spider on the chest, black tracksuit and red trainers, with a Spider-Man mask with holes in the eyes, I just thought it was look good enough for the homemade suit. And after all, it is the origin story, and origin story have homemade suit. How I got the red trainers was my gran gave it to me on Christmas. When she was asking which trainers do I fancy, the black or red, when she suddenly messaged me about that, and I thought, actually the red one looks good for my homemade Spider-Man suit, so yeah, I picked red for that exact reason. And then when I put it on with the outfit, I thought, yes, just what I needed. So I'd like to thank my gran for the help. Didn't see that coming. Where'd you get that outfit? From online or something? So when the wrestler was about to attack Peter, but he jumped on the bars, yeah, the online joke was, I got that idea from Chris Stuckman when he was reviewing movies. It was when he reviewed Robin Hood, the 2018 film, when he says a bag which looks like it was bought from the mall. And I think that's what gave me an idea to use an online joke for that scene. Then I used Kurt Fuller's voice from Superhero the Movie for I Don't See Where That's My Problem.
I really need that car. I don't see how that's my problem.
Robbery! Nobody move! Everybody stay down!
You let him get away with our money.
I don't see how that's my problem.
Because Peter Parker in films have their own, like, you know, problem phrases. Like Toby says, I missed the part where that's my problem. Andrew said, not my policy. And I thought, why don't I just say, I don't see how that's my problem? Like, same thing that Drake Bell did when he played Rick. But for the record, it's a Spider-Man parody, it's not Spider-Man. So I used a running man on green screen from online to get him to play as the burglar, the guy who killed Uncle Ben. And I thought, yeah, he seems right for the part. Oh.
You let him get away with our money.
I don't see how that's my problem. And then the first scene where I was in the proper Spider-Man suit, which was on the Chrysler building. Yeah, that was an influence from the Spider-Man, the movie game.
You can't stop time from moving on.
Because I think it's a brilliant entrance where it leads into the next story. What's going on over here? So the first villain my Spider-Man encountered with was Herman Schultz, aka Shocker. So who are you supposed to be? Oh wait, Yellow Shades?
I'm the Shocker. I'm gonna blast you off! You're an easy target, Spider-Man.
An influence from the Ultimate Spider-Man game. Well, especially the movie game, where he finds Shocker in the sewers leading to underground subway tunnel. Because I just think it works well. The story is good enough to be in the first film.
Stand still, you jumping freak!
And then I ditched Shocker after that because I had no further use of the character.
Vulture, some workshop set up in the old clock tower on the Lower East Side.
The Vulture, huh? Well, thanks for the answers. I'm sure you can manage to stay wet until the police get here. Have fun! And that was an unused design for Spider-Man Homecoming, and I just thought, well, no one's using it. I thought it works so well in the live-action modern-day Shocker.
Gave you a choice. You chose wrong.
I also added Michael Beatty's voice from the movie game because I thought Michael Beatty was perfect. It was Michael Beatty's voice from the game. The game was my introduction to Shocker.
Time to bring down the lights.
So a brief battle with Shocker led to the Vulture, which I think that villain was a good start. What was that? Yeah, I decided to skip Chameleon's story, which, by the way, Chameleon was in the first Amazing Spider-Man comic, but I wanted to save Chameleon for Craven's story. So the last half of the film was loosely based on The Amazing Spider-Man 2, the comic, not the film, using Dwight Schultz's voice, which works perfectly. It's so ironic that his second name was Schultz, because Herman Schultz, Shocker.
Get to the top deck. We're getting out of here.
With the similar design Vulture from Spider-Man Homecoming, because I just thought, well, I might as well use that. And the scene where Spidey fights with Vulture in the clock tower, it just felt like the right sort of area to fight the Vulture. Ah, hello. Aren't you supposed to be 2 days before retirement?
Have some respect for your betters, you punk.
And then the second battle was at the Chrysler Building.
I'm flying circles around you, Spider-Man.
That scene was fun to do. The way I was punching Vulture, that was an influence from Spider-Man 2, the way he was punching Doc Ock on the clock tower before they both fall down to the train. I added the Oscorp scene to flesh out Adrian Toomes a bit more. Adrian Toomes? The guy got removed from Oscorp and he created those suits with wings. Is that possible? To explain how he got those gadgets and that he used to work in Oscorp and why he became a villain, which is because Norman Osborn forced him to retire because he was too old for the job. That idea sort of came from a Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon.
Go, go! You want to escape me again?
My thought exactly.
I was really proud of the scene where Spidey jumps out the window, getting away from Oscorp robot security.
Target identified as Spider-Man.
Which, by the way, that was from a Spider-Man movie game, which I remember being so scared by those things, you know, playing the game, where you have to like sneak past them and getting away from them.
Standard search and destroy pattern. Find the intruder and neutralize with extreme prejudice.
Yeah, it was fun to remind the audience of that. So to give more action, I added the scene where Spider-Man chases Vulture down to the Central Park, and to slow the pacing down a bit. Also, I added J.K. Simmons' voice for Jameson because, well, why wouldn't you?
Would someone explain why no one can get me a decent picture of Spider-Man committing a crime?
A crime? But he was stopping them, not becoming a crime. He's a hero.
Robbie, tell that crackpot to stop wasting my time.
As in the comics, Peter obviously works in the Daily Bugle, and I want my Peter to work in the Daily Bugle as well. And I wanted to use J.K. Simmons' voice. Most people pick J.K. as the best Jameson of all time.
You serious?
Which is what led to him reprising the role in the MCU.
There you have it, folks. Conclusive proof that Spider-Man was responsible for the brutal murder of Mysterio.
Also the scene where Peter examines the spider DNA, where he's concerned a bit. This spider DNA I have, it's a reformed mutant. Vulture is on the loose. I better worry about my DNA later. Pretty much giving you the hint that he could turn into Man Spider, like it happened in the 1994 animated series. I can't imagine myself with 6 arms, I'm not gonna lie. So I took inspiration from the end of the first Spider-Man film, where Spidey lands on the American flag. I just thought it was a nice way to end the first fan film. My last shot in the first fan film, where I was standing down on the stool, which I think that's supposed to be on the roof or something, without my mask, which never made it into the film. So what I did was, I filmed my Peter Parker scenes first, and then after that, I filmed Spider-Man scenes next, just to make it easier. The best way I can describe my version of Peter Parker and Spider-Man, he comes up with some really bad jokes, but he goes along with it.
Spider-Man, here!
Now it's time to talk Halloween to Halloween. Okay, that's a bad joke. He hardly gets luck in his lifetime, and I wanted to keep the character close to the source material as I can, but also make it work for the modern times. So when I got myself a Spider-Man suit, I originally wanted to wear the Raimi suit, but then when I watched the Spider-Man fan films made by Six Side Studios,
Why are we fighting? We're gonna knock some sense into you.
that really convinced me to buy the costume closer to the comics, as I wanted to make my version of Spider-Man as my own. So then I got the Ultimate costume. The font I used felt very stylish. I used the Ultimate Spider-Man video game soundtracks because a lot of people like the idea of those soundtracks are used. And I took an influence from Raimi's Spider-Man posters where the New York was so orange, as I always love the artwork and it's just so creative. When I played Spider-Man, I took a lot of inspiration from Christopher Daniel Barnes' portrayal as the character from the 1994 animated series, with the dialogues saying what he's thinking.
Yes! It worked! The roar of the rocket forced the symbiote off Brock!
My performance was mostly taking inspiration from Tobey Maguire, with the hairstyle, the performance, organic webbing. Morning, Flash. You could have broken my camera. Oh! I do take a little bit from others. Including Nicholas Hammond, with a stealth mode to fight criminals.
Oh man.
I revealed the costume on my 22nd birthday as my birthday treat. And then when the trailer of the first fan film came out, I get a phone call getting praised on the effects. So when the first fan film came out, I felt like, yeah, I finally got a Spider-Man fan film now. So after when I finished the first fan film, of course I straight away worked on the second fan film. I wrote the script and I filmed it in 22nd of April 2020. This would have dissolved by now. I didn't use Doc Ock as the villain because, one, I haven't got an actor who could play him, and it would have been too similar to the Raimi films, so I used a different villain instead. So the second fan film started off with the Rhino.
Spidey, no more Mr. Nice Guy!
I don't know what's with the Rhino outfit, but dumb is the word I describe you, which was an idea from the Spider-Man 2 video game.
Spider-Man, huh? Finally! I've been dying to see what you can do. Let's go. Just try to break through my armor. I'm gonna break your bones and make you cry for your mama.
Rhino, I'm gonna take a wild guess that you're strong but dumb.
But I use Mysterio as the main villain, as it felt suitable for the second installment.
Mysterio, as we speak.
Because Spider-Man 2 was considered one of the best superhero films ever made, I wanted to do the same with my second fan film, making it a step up from the first one. My life isn't about romantic. Well, I wish it was. but all I do is swing around and fight crimes. Which is why it started off with Spider-Man telling a story, and then straight away into action. The editing where Spidey jumps on the car was so hard to do. What's also hard is where the scene where Peter was talking science stuff. Probability and statics are related, but separate academics disciplines. But in real life, I actually do not know what I was talking about because I'm not really a science geek in real life, which is unfortunate. I certainly don't have scientific mind like Peter Parker has. Nothing's broken. The idea for Rhino's battle scene in the construction site was from the Ultimate Spider-Man video game.
Terceros, Bacornis! Terceros, Bacornis! Terceros, Bacornis!
I should get his attention.
But also in the comic with the scrap area, where it's pretty much a homage to The Amazing Spider-Man 41. And I thought it was a perfect place for Rhino's battle scene, and I used John DiMaggio's voice because I thought he was phenomenal as the Rhino. The way he roars and screams and as he charges, it was just so perfect. Yep, that's definitely the Rhino.
Prepare to get stomped!
Oh boy.
No! I don't feel so good.
So then onto the fake Spider-Man carrying a sack, which is actually a bed sheet that I used. So the second fan film was based on The Amazing Spider-Man 13. I used Mysterio design from Spider-Man Far From Home because it was the most realistic looking Mysterio I can find. And I used James Arnold Taylor's voice for the character because I think robotic voice suited the character a lot more. And James Arnold Taylor really pulled it off. Alright Mysterio, is that a fishbowl on your head?
Spider-Human, I will defeat you once and for all.
As he voiced Mysterio in Spider-Man 2 game, which, by the way, that's the voice I used.
I will determine that your planet is ripe for conquest.
Mysterio?
Now I've seen everything.
And then reprised the role in Marvel Ultimate Alliance, although his voice does sound a bit different there.
Spider-Man, do you always have to be a half-wit?
Ooh, now that hurt. And speaking of getting hurt, step away from those plans before I have to get medieval on you.
You idiot! Why do you think S.H.I.E.L.D. has plans for Ultron?
I thought everyone had them. I got some this morning in a box of cereal.
And then I gave the audience goosebumps where the rock falls, but where Peter looks up, nothing was falling and there was just Mysterio's laughing. What? How did he do that? And the idea of Mysterio claims that he was an alien came from Spider-Man 2 game, and the scene where Spidey dives.
If you do not hurry, your fellow humans will be destroyed while you waste time.
That really did hurt my side. It was the way I landed. Ouch. And I am actually so proud of the swimming scene because it did look kind of real, and you can actually feel yourself under the water. The bit where Peter puts his dressing gown on as Aunt May walked into the bedroom.
Peter.
I can explain. Yeah, that was the last scene I shot in the second Spider-Man fan film because I didn't want to risk blood stain on my Spidey suit. And cut, yes! The second one is finally done. And I took the inspiration from Far From Home in the illusion scene.
Mysterio, that's who.
That was was so hard to film and so hard to edit. I added a bit of horror where Mysterio shot up from the ground. What the hell? Quick, hiding back! And I can't exactly remember why I added Velociraptor and Pennywise the Clown from the 2017's It film. I think it was probably because to make it scary or something, but I definitely know why I added Uncle Ben's grave, and that was to haunt Peter Parker. And then 6 Spider-Men from the mirror attacking each other was just so fun.
Prepare to meet your most dangerous adversary, yourself.
Again, I got that idea from Spider-Man 2 game, but also inspiration from Far From Home. All the Spidey just attacking each other. And how I did it was, I jogged on a spot and then pretend to attack myself, and I did that 6 times in different places. 1. 2. Again, it was hard to edit, but then when I look back and watch the scenes, I thought, wow, this is amazing. And I always thought ending the film with swinging is a nice tradition to a Spider-Man film. So after the second fan film was finished, straight away I worked on the third fan film. So I shot Spider-Man FanFilm 3 on 23rd of April 2020. When I filmed the first 3 fan films, especially 2 and 3, I shot them back to back. So in the beginning scene where Spidey shot a web on a helicopter where the criminals are in, that was an influence from a deleted scene in the first Spider-Man film, because I thought it was an awesome scene. And I wanted to end the third fan film on a high note, although I did not use the location where World Trade Center was. Out of respect for those who lost their lives in 9/11, I added Statue of Liberty in the film because, well, this is my last fan film, and of course I've got to have Statue of Liberty on there. It's, you know, it's one of the New York's famous landmarks. Also, I thought it was the last fan film. So I took some inspiration from the animated series where Spidey takes a photo of Lizard's footprints and does a bit of investigating. Oh my god. And I must admit, the scene where Lizard knocked Peter out, the head bang on the wall does look painful. Which, by the way, I did not bang my head, it was a green screen. I added the sound effect, and yeah, and I just made it look really painful. And of course, Spider-Man goes in the sewers, again. Ugh, ew, these walls are slimy. I don't think I can even climb on them. and I used Nathan Coulson's voice from Spider-Man 3 game. When I first played the game, at first I thought that was Dylan Baker's voice, because he does sound a bit like him.
Yes, perfect. Good news, Spider-Man. I've produced enough of the antidote to cure hundreds of those lizards.
I'll need it. The sewers are swarming with our scaly pals.
I was fine with Naked Lizard. I really loved the concept art design for Spider-Man 4. So the scene where Spidey and Lizard have a fight under the sewers, that was an inspiration from Blade vs. Deacon Frost. I actually watched that scene when I was filming my battle with Lizard, especially where I kicked the viral into the Lizard to cure him, which is what Blade did to kill Deacon Frost. Perhaps I did try that scene a bit too hard, and the speech was to wrap up the FanFilm trilogy. My Uncle Ben's words keep going. With great power comes great responsibility. In the end, people need heroes. Which again influenced the Spider-Man 3 game, the PlayStation 2 version.
This should be a happy ending. I beat the villain, brought a family back together, and got the girl. But it's not that easy. Being Spider-Man always comes with a price.
And funny thing is, I did get comments from people, they believed it was based on that game because of the use of Lizard in the sewers, the music, J.K. Simmons' voice for Jameson, and the fact it's called Spider-Man FanFilm 3. And I just want to be clear, it's not based on the game, it's a different thing. It's not the movie of Spider-Man 3 game, it's FanFilm adapted from The Amazing Spider-Man 6. Although I did wish I added more into the film and making it a bit longer. Yeah, I think I should have extended the story a bit, such as maybe add a scene where Peter goes into the museum and slowing the pacing for Lizard investigation down a bit. And how can I not mention Larry the Lizard, which is the character that appeared in the Spider-Man 3 game.
That's right, folks. Larry the Lizard has the best prices in town on name brand cell phones. Best reception, best customer service too. Sign up today, get a free cell phone.
All that fuss over Larry? Man, JJ's gonna blow a fuse. Well, I'm here. Might as well take the picture.
I think it would have been fun if that character appeared in the third fan film.
I said get me giant lizards and I meant it, Parker. You think I don't know the difference between some guy in a costume and the real deal? Get me giant lizards or you're fired.
Should have known that was too easy.
I do wish I can go back in time and, and do that. So then after the third fan film finished, I was like, finally, I can retire from that role. Or so I thought. But instead, I did 6 more of them. And the reason that is that me and Stewie had talks about him playing Wolverine during lockdown while we're having barbecue. And there was also talks with my dad about him playing the Punisher. And I always wanted to do a story where I was in the black suit. And I felt that I can do more. It's a similar thing how Roger Moore does the James Bond films, because he did 7 Bond films. He did sign a contract to do the first 3, but when he appeared in the last 4, that's whenever he can or if he wanted to. So the ideas I came up with the next few fan films, and I thought, yeah, why not? So when I made a start on the 4th Spider-Man fan film, of course Doc Ock is going to be the villain. Unfortunately, I couldn't find anyone who could play him, so I used a CGI version with Ephraim Zimbalist Jr.'s voice.
Whatever you are trying is useless, Spider-Man.
One of the reasons why later fan films were delayed, because that was one of the reasons and also because of COVID. So I ordered Doc Ock's arm prop from eBay, and I remember seeing that in one of their Spider-Man videos that the kids did back in the 2000s, which again, I was at that age. So when the fan films were moving forward, I redesigned the title sequence because I wasn't too fond of the design in the first three. And the idea of Peter mentioning that Otto Octavius was his old science teacher. Otto Octavius? But he was one of my teacher. Came from the animated series, and I thought it works really well.
Their laughter is meaningless. Science is the important thing. It justifies all that we do in its service.
And I thought the bank scene is a great place for Spider-Man and Doc Ock to meet.
Can't still.
Stop right there, Dr. Octavius! And the fact that Spidey was injured and he was uncertain if he was going to win that time. I've heard about Octavius' attacks, but somehow I didn't believe it. And beaten up. It's nice to have something different. And also Johnny Storm, aka the Human Torch from the Fantastic Four, makes an appearance. Because the film was based on the Amazing Spider-Man 3 comic, not only the Human Torch is in there, but also it's a Doc Ock story. In the comic, as Johnny Storm does the speech, he says that the Fantastic Four will stop Doc Ock. But in the fan film, Johnny Storm says never give up, which gives Peter the inspiration to never give up, and convincing him to go and fight Doc Ock again.
You know, I did not give up.
Where I got the idea for a Mini Mates series from a YouTube channel because I think it works well. And the brief scene where Peter meets Doc Ock, Dr. Octavius, what do you want? If I was doing their director's cut, there will be a little bit more, showing that Doc Ock would recognise Peter. Alright, Doc Ock, you wanted to see me?
Now, you die.
And then of course we go to the train battle, which I'd love to take an influence from the Lego stop motion that I saw on YouTube. So I reenact as best as I can, which I remembered watching that video as it was definitely awesome. I'd recommend watching it. Throwing Spidey into the moving train was an inspiration from a deleted scene. And of course there was the Spider-Man 2 influence where he stops the train. Except he has his mask on, unlike Toby. But it was a similar reason in the game version, because in the film, the reason why Peter stopped the train so it doesn't fall off the tracks, whereas in the game, he stops the train so people doesn't get hurt. Yeah, and I used that idea in the fan film. Then there's the Tritium in the final battle, which I got the idea from both Spider-Man 2 movie and game.
You dare attack me?
As well as webbing the eyes from the animated series. Then the Human Torch appears at the end. In the comics, Spider-Man thanks the Human Torch, which confused him, but in the fan film...
Ready, set, go!
It ended with Spidey having a race with Human Torch because I think it is a lot of fun. And it reminds me of the Ultimate Spider-Man game.
Johnny Storm of the world-famous Fantastic Four. What on earth are you doing in Queens?
What, I can't be in Queens?
I have to be here, but you? Go save the world.
And David Kaufman is the best voice I can find for Human Torch for the fan film. The idea of director's cut, my cut for Spider-Man FanFilm 4, has been thought of ever since I worked on the original version. So my idea for the director's cut is have a real actor to play Doc Ock. He'll be wearing the similar clothing as Alfred Molina's version from Spider-Man 2.
Hold your fire!
Don't follow me.
I would have added some new scenes, including Otto puts his mechanical arms on. The first take on Tritium would result him turning into Doc Ock, just like the original release. There would have been the hospital scene for the birth of Doc Ock, and I thought of having my mum playing one of the nurses who was killed by Doc Ock, and towards the end it would have shown Doc Ock would be in jail. The idea of casting Stewie Burke as Wolverine have been thought about for many years. Wolverine has always been Stewie's favourite Marvel comic book character. He often puts on Wolverine's voice. Even when I was younger, and I thought he would actually make a good Wolverine, and he's got the right body shape for it. It's a pity that Marvel Studios never called him. So when I casted Stewie as Wolverine, it was obvious that he was taking influence from Hugh Jackman, particularly the outfits like the white vest and blue jeans, because he's not too keen on wearing the yellow comic suit, unfortunately. But never say never. So then I ordered Wolverine's claws. I didn't plan to order the dog tag, it just came with it. But I thought, actually yeah, why not? And those are the props that Stewie kept. When he came in, I was hardly ready. So I was being ready as fast as I can, and it was lucky that he was being patient about it. And unfortunately, 2020 hadn't been a great year for him as he was going through a tough time. But him playing the Wolverine seems to help him taking his mind off things. The idea of casting him as Wolverine started when Stewie told me that there was a story of Spider-Man and Wolverine fighting with each other, and then I saw it on the animated series. And I've been meaning to do that story for many years, with myself as Spider-Man and Stewie as Wolverine, and Stewie was always passionate about the idea. So the fan film was based on Spider-Man vs. Wolverine comic, which is why the opening scene started off with Berlin 1979. Which, fun fact, that was 2 years before Stewie was born in real life. In the film, it shows that Wolverine hardly ages, so I confirmed that his Wolverine was born in 1847. Coming into 2021, where he's fighting Spider-Man, he would have been 174 years old. And it started off with Wolverine fighting Russian spies to rescue his love interest, Agent Charlemagne, which happened in the comic. And Spider-Man complaining that he's been swinging for hours also happened in the comic. Swinging makes me really exhausted. I've been swinging for hours. In the present day, where I added the X-Mansion and having Charles Xavier's scenes, and I just thought it was a fun scene. It's a nice treat for the fans, and I thought it would be fun to have X-Men reference in there.
Wolverine, how are you?
Would you look in my mind and find out, Charles?
Using Tom Kane's voice, where he does sound a bit like Patrick Stewart, which is awesome. Plus, Tom Kane voiced Charles Xavier in the Marvel Ultimate Alliance game.
Excellent. Now I urge you to move quickly. My psychic power is waning, and I cannot protect Nightcrawler much longer.
Don't worry, Xavier.
I shall return with your precious student.
And the thing about this fan film is that you've got like two superheroes handle their criminals differently, well, handle their enemies differently. Spider-Man webs the criminals so the police can put them in jail, whereas Wolverine, he kills them with his claws. And I also had a bit of a tension moment where Logan climbed into Peter Parker's bedroom where he's like, I know who you are. And at the moment you thought that Wolverine knows Peter Parker as Spider-Man.
Name's Logan, but you can call me Wolverine. I recognize the smell. I know who you are. You're the guy that takes pictures of Spider-Man for the Bugle.
Oh, really? Good guess. And the bit where Peter Parker was following Wolverine, you may notice the mark on the arm. Yeah, my scene in that film was shot 2 days after when I had my blood taken out for personal reasons, and it left a mark on the next day, which is how I got it. It was not makeup, it was definitely real. When Wolverine was drinking in the bar, in behind the scenes it was obviously Pepsi Max, which looking back I think, yeah, I should have used Diet Coke, because I was trying to use the drink that resembles like a vodka, like an alcohol drink, as Stewie describes it.
Yeah, vodka and Coke. Black Russian.
So obviously there was reasons why Spider-Man and Wolverine were fighting with each other, because in the comics Spider-Man believes that Wolverine killed someone, and so he started a fight, where in the fan film Wolverine believed Spider-Man killed Charlemagne, which led to a brutal battle. I don't have time for games, Wolverine.
Well, I ain't playing one.
And I think it works better that way. Not that I think what happened in the comic didn't work. So in the comics, the battle was taking place in the graveyard, but the reason why I changed that in the fan film and have it set in Central Park, because I was worried that if it was being disrespectful. So yeah, I chose the Central Park just to be on the safe side. The direction on the battle scene was an influence from Batman vs Superman. And I wanted to make that scene brutal and have the audience feel pain, being like, oh god, oh. And there was a green screen issue for Wolverine's clothes where it disappeared, so in order to fix that, I added the sound effect. Wolverine, got his clothes ready as he was slashing, and like, like that. Which I think it makes that scene pretty awesome, actually. And then Stewie suggested using the CGI web as the bit where Spidey webbed him up.
Get this thing off of me!
And how can I forget, after when Spidey was surprised to see Wolverine's healing powers, and then Wolverine knocked Spidey over. How did... It was the way I did that stunt. How did... Oh my... Oh, my back. Because my back was in pain after when I did that stunt. And I'm not gonna lie, I actually thought I'd broken it because it hurt that bad. Me and Stewie didn't film on the same day. We didn't film at the same time. We filmed on separate days and separate times. I just edited us two together to make it look like we were filming at the same time. I laid down for a bit because, because my back was really in pain and I thought I'd broken it. So when I carefully got up, I was relieved that it wasn't broken, it was in pain. So I took a little break. It was lucky that I didn't have much to do, so when I finished my part, I decided not to do much stunts as possible because my back was in pain. But luckily it was just a brief battle with the Russian spies. And of course my mum had no desire to have her face on camera, and I thought the spirit form of Agent Charlemagne would be a good role for my mum. So then she voiced the ghost.
You'll be resting as soon as these claws go through your brain.
Logan.
Ah! Ghost!
How is this possible?
I also explained it was the power from Doctor Strange. And yes, Doctor Strange exists in my Spider-Man FanFilm series, guiding Spidey and Wolverine where the Russian spies are and end the mission once and for all.
This is it.
Are you sure that you can smell like a dog?
Watch it.
Oh yeah. So after the film was finished, Stewie wanted to check the film to see if he likes it. It was obvious that Wolverine meant so much to Stewie as he wanted to check it before having it released. So when I showed him, he was absolutely happy with it, and I was like, yes! And then eventually the film came out. In terms of other actors' filming schedule, I filmed 6, 7, 8 and 9 way before I filmed other actors' scenes, just so I'm ready, so I can get my bits out the way. So the idea of my dad playing the Punisher started when he told me that Punisher was his favourite Marvel comic book character, and then I thought, actually my dad looks good for the part as the Punisher. And of course I've known the Punisher from Spider-Man animated series, where he was capturing Spidey with 6 arms.
I'm a sitting duck up here. I've got to move. Psycho's aiming a missile launcher at us!
And the subtitle came from the name of the episode, Enter the Punisher. Originally, Punisher was depicted as the anti-hero and adversary of Spider-Man. And I must admit, I was really surprised to hear my dad's favourite Marvel comic book character is the Punisher, because I didn't think he was a well-known character as much as Green Goblin, Doc Ock, for example. So I wouldn't have thought that my dad was aware of that character. I think he is a fan of Marvel and DC, but although I'm not sure if I can say it's on the same extent as I have. In the 2000s and 2010s, a lot of Marvel characters don't seem to be well known as they are now, unless you're an ultimate fan, I guess. And before I found out who my dad's favourite Marvel comic book character was, I wasn't aware there was Punisher films until my dad told me about them.
Dolph Lundgren, Louis Gossett Jr.
Mr. P, happy hunting!
The Punisher. Justice with a vengeance.
So for years, and I thought whenever I do Spider-Man, and whenever Punisher makes an appearance, he's got to be played by my dad. And I often thought he does look like Frank Castle, and he does give a good vibes to the character, and he is really into action films, and I often thought that he can pull off a dark action character, and I thought he would absolutely nail the character. And it is a pity that my dad was never into acting, and I always loved to do a Punisher story with him playing the role. But I messaged him anyway to ask him if he wanted the part, just to be polite. And surprisingly, he said yes, which I was absolutely thrilled. So straight away, I read the comic and then wrote the script. And we had to wait a while because of COVID and also because of his work schedule. When I gave him the Punisher t-shirt, that wasn't for his role. I bought him that t-shirt, I think it was for his birthday, as I thought he would have absolutely loved it. And of course the idea of him wearing that t-shirt for the role was an influence from Thomas Jane's Punisher, because I think Punisher wearing a black t-shirt with a skull on chest does suit the character more than wearing like a black suit with white gloves and boots. which again, I'm not saying the classic suit is bad.
Call me the Punisher.
So apart from my scenes in the remastered Spider-Man FanFilm 4, my dad's scene as the Punisher are the last scenes of Spider-Man FanFilm series I filmed. So the villain I used in the film is Jackal, who's also Miles Warren, and originally Tarantula was going to be the villain of the story as well. And the reason why I chose those two because the first half was adapted from The Amazing Spider-Man 129, which is the first appearance of the Punisher and the Jackal, and the last half at the boat scene was adapted from The Amazing Spider-Man 134 and 135, with Tarantula as the villain. So like I said, Jackal and Tarantula were originally going to be the two villains in the film. Darren Cosgrove would have played Tarantula, and someone, which I won't reveal his name, would have played Jackal. Due to the legal issues, that guy had to be dropped out from playing Jackal, so instead Darren got the role as the Jackal, due to the fact that he can put on old man voice, as Miles Warren is an old man.
I like your ambition. Killing is a joyful revenge.
I only kill those who prey on innocent lives like Spider-Man.
I used the Face app to make Darren look like an old man, so we can say that he played Miles Warren as well as the Jackal. The design of Jackal was the unused design for the Green Goblin in the first Raimi Spider-Man film, and I thought the mask looks close enough to the character, and Tarantula had to be written out because there's no casting for the character, and I wasn't a fan of the character anyway, and I figured Punisher story, Jackal story, Tarantula story was too many to put in one fan film, so instead Jackal played Tarantula's role in the boat scene, which I think it works really well.
I have my crew here, and we wish no harm unless it's necessary. Spider-Man, here!
So the film begins with the Punisher breaking into the warehouse and killing criminals. That scene was an influence from Punisher's first scene in Daredevil Season 2, because I thought it was a great entrance for the character. And to make the Punisher look intimidating, and the fact that the Punisher says that there's no surrender.
I give up! Sorry pal, there's no surrender.
That was an influence from the animated series.
Get some Weasley lawyer, spend a year or two in prison, and then you're back on the streets again? Sorry, in this war there's no surrender. Help me!
And it shows that no matter how much criminals beg for their lives, Punisher will just shoot you dead without hesitation. And the scene where Punisher was aiming his gun at Spider-Man as he was swinging by, I was making it very suspenseful as best as I can.
Spider-Man, your days of terrorizing the city are over.
And this actually happened in the comic, where Jackal clawed Spider-Man in the back, which made Spider-Man fall off the roof, look like he was about to die.
Hey, what are you doing?
So the claws of the Jackal, they're equipped with razor-sharp steel claws. They often coated with poison or hallucinogens, or attached to electrical devices, which can shock an enemy into unconsciousness, where the Punisher calls the Jackal on his unjust methods of killing Spider-Man. But obviously Spider-Man survived, but he was badly hurt, and then he climbs on the roof to find weapons that Punisher and Jackal have dropped, which belong to Mr. Reese, which spelled R-E-I-S-S. Hello? Anyone home? Mr. Reese? I don't mean any harm, but I just want to talk. Oh my god, Mr. Reese! And the last time we see Jackal is where he escaped from Spider-Man's webbing to keep the door open, which, by the way, I don't mean to tease anybody. The police will be there. He'll get a life sentence. He needs help.
I suppose I'll let him have it just this once.
Yeah, that scene was to set up for Spider-Man clones or something. So after I finished filming my dad's scenes, we watched the videos to see if we're both happy with it. And then we went out to McDonald's and stayed at his for a bit. Then after when I got back, and straight away, I edited the film. And then I wanted to make sure that my dad was happy about it, so I put it on stick before the film was released. And then when I went to his house, watching it with the entire family, I was running away the majority of the time because it felt so weird just watching myself. It was just so cringe. But everyone loved it, which is awesome. And I did get a few people praising the film, as well as my dad's performance as the Punisher. So casting Lee Armstrong as Flint Marko, aka Sandman, had been thought about since 2015 when I thought of the idea of doing Spider-Man TV series, because he has the similar hairstyle, he can pull off playing a criminal character.
Yeah, you better run, coward!
So FanFilm 7 is based on the Amazing Spider-Man 4 comic, and similar for my dad's The Punisher, I had to wait a while to film Lee's scene as Sandman because of his work schedule. And there was also the t-shirt situation where I didn't even realise Amazon was American, and American sized t-shirts is very different to the UK. So I do constantly buy the t-shirts or the jumper, like a green t-shirt or jumper with black stripes, because I wanted to buy the comic accurate ones. Well, none of them seemed to fit him. We were just like, screw it, let's just go to Primark together and just buy a green shirt. So eventually we did. Not exactly what I had in mind, but I thought, yeah, it'll do. And then the trousers and the black sketches really does suit Lee's version of the Sandman. So before I filmed his scenes, I had to replace green screen with blue screen because obviously he was wearing a green t-shirt.
Turn this thing off!
So the influence from Spider-Man 3 was where Flint Marko was outrunning the police and falling into the super collider. And there was a funny blooper with Lee's filming that scene.
Someone turn that thing off! Whoa!
But yeah, I took the influence from Spider-Man 3 for the birth of Sandman because I thought it was a well done scene. And also Mary Jane gets mentioned.
I still wish you and MJ could...
Aunt May, I keep telling you, I don't do blind dates. In the original Spider-Man comics, Aunt May constantly tries to get Peter to meet Mary Jane, but the reason why Peter refused because he doesn't do blind dates. But that was until he eventually meets her. So yeah, I thought of doing a Mary Jane meeting setup. And there was also a humour where Jameson sat on the chair that Spider-Man webbed. He's not in. Oh well. I'll lend him an early Christmas present. And his trousers got stuck to the chair and then Peter had to give him the spare ones, which actually did happen in the comics. So I thought, yeah, why not? Because then at least we're adding humour into the film. Hey, Mr. Jameson, there's your pants. I'll get you some more photos of Spider-Man. Anything else?
Give me some coffee.
I also love the bit where Spider-Man got his fist through Sandman's chest. Again, inspiration from Spider-Man 3, because Yeah, it seemed fun to do.
Uh-oh.
Think you can beat up anything made of sand, do you?
And of course in the comics, Spidey vacuumed Sandman up.
What? No, stop!
Well, the janitor says it's a strong vacuum cleaner. So when I wrote that, and I thought, yeah, but the audience are going to be like, why doesn't Sandman just break himself out? So then I did some research on the internet, like why didn't Sandman, break himself out of the vacuum cleaner? It turns out that Sandman was allowing himself to be captured so he can set his dad free, which is why I added that into the film. I always love to do a Green Goblin story.
No.
So the film was originally based on the Amazing Spider-Man 14 comic. I scrapped that because I thought the story in there was too complicated. So I decided to adapt from the Amazing Spider-Man 17 instead, because I think the story works better for the Green Goblin's entrance. And the reason why I didn't add the Hulk or bring back the Human Torch was because I just wanted to make it feel like a proper Spider-Man story, instead of having other Marvel superheroes getting involved. However, I do want to confirm that the Avengers exist in that world. Love 9 Rove's Spider-Man episode with the Green Goblin gave me an idea to work my way around the story. I also added the scene where Spidey returns to Oscorp. Took some influence from the movie game, and that time Spidey was there to turn off the chemical weapons. Whoa. Okay. And I just think it fits in well to the story.
Oscorp does not tolerate intruders, Spider-Man.
You again? And I also noticed that mistake after when the film came out. On the poster where it advertised Spider-Man's fan club, I noticed it said it starts at 5 AM when it was supposed to start at 5 PM in the evening, and somehow I mistakenly put 5 AM like 5 in the morning, and then I was like, oh no! So yeah, I cannot believe I've made that mistake. And I thought the fan club was a good entrance for the Green Goblin, where he crashes it and throwing pumpkin bombs. Who's he?
Well, hello there, Spider-Man.
And I wanted to add the iconic Spider-Man song into the series. Hey, how are you doing?
Spider-Man does whatever a spider can, spins a web.
So I used 331 E-Rock's Spider-Man song for that scene, which, by the way, I'd recommend checking his channel. He's absolutely awesome. And I thought using Bruce Campbell's voice when he announced Spider-Man worked really well, which that was taken from the first Spider-Man film at the wrestling scene. The upside down scene was really hard to do because I attached the string from the stool. Yeah, I was just pretty much like that on the stool, and then I rotate myself upside down to make myself look like I was actually hanging upside down. I fell off the stool at that point. Oh! Okay. Oh! So yeah, it was a scary scene to do. So a brief fight in the abandoned building was influenced from the first Spider-Man film. As it is fun to add that scene. and also to have Green Goblin's escape, where it would set up for his return in the planned sequels, where the next time I use Green Goblin, it would be in the story where it's based on the night Gwen Stacy dies. So when I thought of doing Spider-Man series with myself, I always had planned to do the symbiote story. The series suit was going to be similar to Spider-Man 3, and I once did a terrible Spider-Man vs. Venom video where I used the CGI symbiote suit, which took the inspiration from the Ultimate Spider-Man video game cutscene.
I felt good. Great. More than myself. It didn't last.
And because I was doing my own version of Spider-Man FanFilms, I ordered the symbiote suit that was comic book accurate. When I got that suit ordered, I ended up getting myself measured all over my body, which was really uncomforting, but it was worth it, as I really love the suit, I love the design of it, and I'm not gonna lie, there were zips all over the suit. It took about 10 to 15 minutes to put on. It was an absolute nightmare. So of course I filmed Peter Parker scenes first, then the original Spider-Man suit scene, then the symbiote Spider-Man, then Alex's scene as Eddie Brock, and then my mum's scene as the criminal. And I think I did have a bit of fun writing that script. So I fleshed out the symbiote by opening the film with the moon, where that astronaut, who I can confirm that's John Jameson, is floating, and the symbiote intruded in the shuttle, which caused it to crash onto the bridge. Where I took the inspiration from Spider-Man animated series. In the cartoon, Spider-Man gets framed for robbing the shuttle.
How he saved the astronauts, and now Jonah Jameson's gonna eat every word he ever...
Peter, Spider-Man robbed the shuttle.
What?
Whereas in the film, I came up with my own idea where Spider-Man gets framed for causing the shuttle to crash and putting John Jameson in hospital.
Hey Jonah, you won't believe what I saw. It was Spider-Man who caused the shuttle to crash. They nearly killed your son.
A great photo! I want a picture that shows the truth about that menace.
But he actually didn't, obviously. Another influence from the animated series was use the Rhino as the villain.
I'll give you a fight that you'll never forget!
I'll give you the web that you'll never...
I win!
And I just feel that he's the right villain to use, and I do think symbiote Spider-Man should fight a villain.
Look, animal, I'm not fighting you all night!
Stop it!
Whenever I do a symbiote Spider-Man story, I really wanted to add Eddie Brock into it, so it leads to a Venom story. I thought of casting Alex Burke in that role for a long time. Alex as Eddie Brock is miserable. He dislikes Spider-Man. He dislikes Peter Parker. He only frames Spider-Man just for the money. And there was a brief mention where Eddie says, "Remember me, Peter?" Eddie Brock Jr.
Peter, remember me? Eddie Brock Jr.
Yes, I remember. And it shows that Eddie and Peter were used to be childhood friends, but now they really dislike each other as they grew up.
You'll never get the shot, Peter.
And I had thought of the story where Eddie's father and Peter's father used to work with each other in the lab, like in the Ultimate Spider-Man comic. So throughout the story, Spider-Man gets framed until John Jameson tells his father that, yeah, the Rhino was behind the situation.
The man in a rhino costume.
Which led to Eddie being sacked.
What's the big deal? You're
fired!
So very similar to Spider-Man 3 and the animated series, Peter lies in bed. What he doesn't realise while he's sleeping, the symbiote gets onto him and bonds with him. Not only Peter was sleeping in his Spidey suit, but also still haunted by how Uncle Ben dies, and the fact that he could have saved him.
No.
I thought it was a perfect entrance where it cuts to symbiote Spider-Man hanging upside down, looking in the mirror building at the suit that he's not familiar with the scary music.
What is this? Where did that came from? But it feels good.
And it was really fun playing the dark Peter Parker. I would have loved to do the dancing scene like Tobey Maguire did. But given the fact that it had negative reviews, I didn't do it. So instead I did the animated series way, like Peter violently handles Flash Thompson.
Poor puny Parker.
Shut up! Next time, they'll be more serious.
Yeah.
Shouting at Aunt May.
But Aunt May, I can't stop taking pictures of Spider-Man. It's my job.
You can and you will.
I've had enough listening to this!
Nearly manhandled Eddie and Jameson.
You serious?
Oh, I'm serious. You will call this thing off, or I will! I'm sorry.
And also I went a bit of a different way, where the symbiote Spider-Man picked up a gun and aimed at Rhino in the face, just to sum up that version of the Spider-Man.
I give up being Spider-Man.
No!
Why not? Can't I? What am I doing?
Although I did regret adding the Venom effect in that scene.
I almost killed a Rhino.
Because I didn't think it looked great. So when my mum played the bank robber with a noisy gun...
I'm not the person you want to mess with.
What else could I try?
What's happening?
It was a similar role to the noisy gun guy in the animated series.
The suit! What's happening?
Although I did wish I'd used a different sound effect in that scene looking back, to buy the fact that it was so noisy and that it really hurts the symbiote.
This is weird.
Everything's going dark.
I don't know why that I thought it was a good sound effect for that, I really don't. My mum didn't want to have her face on camera like I said, but she was absolutely fine with wearing a mask, which ended up getting her the role. And I think she's the only one in Spider-Man FanFilm series who played more than one character.
This is not supposed to happen.
But it did.
So when symbiote Spidey visits to Dr. Connors, I used Nathan Coulson's voice again, but with Dylan Baker's likeness, and added the scene where he explains what's bad about the symbiote.
Well, thanks, Doc, but I need my suit for a bit.
Be careful, Spider-Man.
And at one point it's not going to be easy to take the symbiote off you.
With onions or without onions?
With onions. Thanks.
I added Stan Lee's scene because he was the man who created it, and I would love to have Stan Lee to exist in my Spider-Man fan films, and I didn't want to kill him off.
Within this unsuspecting city, history's greatest experiment creates tomorrow's greatest superhero. Spider-Man, the movie. A live-action spectacular directed by Joe Zito, based on the characters created by Stan Lee.
as I wanted to honour him and thanking him for what he has done. I really hope it wasn't disrespectful. The voice clip I used was Lego Maximum Overload because, yeah, I love Stanley's role in that, where he's just an old guy serving hot dogs. Absolutely love it.
Hello, it's a simple question.
And then where symbiote Spider-Man sits on the church in the rain, yeah, that was an influence from Spider-Man 3 teaser. I remember back when I was 8 years old when I went on the Spider-Man 3 website and discovered the poster of symbiote Spider-Man on the church and seeing the teaser. I was so fascinated by it, and it's still to this day that it was my favourite teaser trailer. There was no words to describe how excited I was to see Spider-Man 3, and it was the first movie I saw at the cinema.
What's happening?
But yeah, for me, 2007 was definitely a good year to be a Spider-Man fan, especially all the Spider-Man 3 merchandises that they sell. So when I showed my friend Darren, who played the Jackal, the scene where Spidey kicks the Rhino out of the church window, and Darren was just like, whoa!
Not so strong after all.
But then of course Spidey webbed the Rhino, realising what he's doing, and that really did convince Peter to take the suit off. So yeah, I think I must have done a good job with that scene. So as Peter takes the suit off, what he doesn't realise is that the suit passes on to Eddie Brock, and that's where he turns into Venom. And again, that was an influence from Spider-Man 3. It was definitely a phenomenal scene. And the reason why Peter's shower was needed, because I thought it would make sense to wash all the symbiote off him. So when Venom comes into the story, I used the CGI of Venom, making him intimidating, and Alex voiced him. My God, Eddie! And I changed the voice a bit, sounded deeper, taking inspiration from Spider-Man Friend or Foe, where he sounded like that.
The better to eat you with.
Because I thought it really suited Venom, but also the Venom's roar came from the Ultimate Spider-Man game. But I lowered it down and edited to match it up right. And the reason why Eddie says too high up for me to see before he turned into Venom was because, well, the church was really tall and he could hardly see, you know. So he wouldn't have known Peter Parker as Spider-Man until the symbiote is on him, because the symbiote already bonded with Peter Parker, and then it went on to Eddie Brock. And yet, symbiote gave Eddie a lot of knowledge about Peter Parker, including the secret identity.
Your secrets, Parker.
No! It also explains that whenever Venom's around, Spider Sense would never go off. As he already blocked out his Spider Sense. It bonded with my DNA and failed. It blocked my Spider Sense. So in the final battle at the construction site, I thought using the sound of alarm was the right move for Venom's defeat. And also a grenade where possibly thugs that Spider-Man already captured left lying around to blow up where the symbiote is to look like as though that Venom is finished. as you can see at the end, parts of the symbiote managed to escape, and Eddie Brock getting arrested, which it was to set up the planned Venom spin-off. I gave Spider-Man a happy ending. It should be a happy ending. I defeated the most nightmare and unforgiven villain I've ever battled. I had a feeling 9 would be my last Spider-Man fan film, which is why I ended it with a swing and a speech, but also keeping the door open. And I am, and always will be, Spider-Man. And that is the end of my run as Spidey. I have missed playing the character, and I've missed doing the stories, and I had ideas for the unmade sequels and a spin-off, which I've explained it all in a different video. It's always amazing to hear people saying how much they enjoyed the fan films, as I did try my best, and I'm happy that I got those fan films made. I didn't even expect to do 9 of them. And that's it for this documentary video. Thanks for watching, and take care.